Hey, want to meditate your way to greater prosperity? 3 new meditations to call it into your life are available now, created by me with a bundle of 3 for 2 pricing at hightimelinebooks.com. Oh, it is so good to be back home. I just realized I have a very nice setup with this audio booth and everything that I've put together that makes doing these podcasts so easy and fun astrology, and it's just great to be back home. Had a wonderful, wonderful trip, and it's good to be back. Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast, Monday, October 21st. We have a light week amongst some really interesting astrology in the sky. I did a YouTube video on this with the weekly overview if you would like to see it, but let's work backwards from the big governing aspect that we have between now and the presidential election of the United States. On Sunday before the election, this is November 3rd, Sunday, Mars and Pluto will be opposite each other. That's the exact. So they will be separating by about 2 days, 48 hours or so when the election occurs. But this energy is in the sky right now. We're building toward it, and it's getting stronger, and it's part of our week this week, next week, and then finally we crescendo. On the positive side, about as much planetary power as you can muster together in a chart, pitted against each other. On the shadow side, you have the god of war opposite the lord of the underworld. They are opposite each other, 180 degrees apart in the sky. That is push-pull tension. Opposites can attract, but they can also pull in different directions. An oil and water kind of relationship. Not as tense in this case as a square, but also in the context of a lot of other energy that's going to happen between now and then. Kristin talked about this in Lucky Stars, and you can see it as we look at the aspects, especially next week. But building up to it, we just have some amazing aspects right now. Lots of symmetry up in the sky. So keeping in mind that we have 2 planets that are known for their shadow sides in the context of otherwise very shifting energy, let's take a look at what we have in store this week. First of all, nothing today, and there are a lot of nothing days this week. Where we drop in and we do have things, they're significant. So the moon today just goes home, which is great. What a good setting. 6:50 this evening, Eastern Time, the moon goes home to Cancer. You always know that things are going to be better when the moon is at home, and we're going to need it tomorrow because one of the big aspects tomorrow happens at 10:15 in the morning. We were just talking about Pluto. Well, the sun squares Pluto. Now remember, earlier this year, Pluto went retrograde. It has now turned direct. It's moving forward. It's in the last little bit of Capricorn, 29 degrees, 40 minutes tomorrow when that exact square occurs. Since there are only 60 minutes per degree, that means that we are just right there at the end of Pluto, getting ready to move in November back into Aquarius for the next 20 years. Now, Kristin mentioned on Friday this dichotomy of both planets at the beginning degrees of signs, but mostly at the end of signs, Pluto being the anchor at the end. The sun getting ready to close out Libra. That will happen tomorrow as well. It enters Scorpio at 6:15 Eastern tomorrow evening. Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces. Uranus is at 26 degrees Taurus. Mars is basically 25 degrees Cancer. So you have these powerful planets at the ending degrees. And just think of it that way, wrapping things up, ending, completing before moving into new territory. The big macro theme that we also have going, as we've talked about, all 5 outer planets change signs between now and about the middle of 2026. And Ray Merriman says that hasn't happened in his database ever, not in that short a period of time. So we know we have hot spots. We know we have built-in tension in the sky. We have some challenging aspects between now and the election. But I've been doing this together with you for 5 years, and we've had challenging aspects come and go through these 5 years. Sometimes things get triggered, and we've seen them. Sometimes those challenging aspects come and go, and they might set up something at a later time. And sometimes they happen before, as the aspect is approaching. But this is where I come back to say that you and I have the ability to choose how we're going to navigate through this for ourselves. A lot of people go to fear during these kinds of times. Oh, if this one is elected, then the world is going to go to hell. Oh, if this one is elected, I won't be able to listen to the news for the next 4 years. Oh, if this one is elected, taxes are going to go through the roof. Oh, if this one is elected, we're going to go to war. Well, nobody knows any of that, so let's don't go jumping to any kinds of conclusions about what happens. If you and I truly do set our own path through these times of challenge that we have potentially among us, stay in touch with your intuition. There's the moon in Cancer, like it will be tonight and for the next couple of days. Feel into this more than you think through it. Don't be governed by fear, or any other negative emotion for that matter. Take whatever preparatory or precautionary things that come to mind to your own intuition for you. And then realize that as a soul, on a soul level, you and I chose to be here at this time. You chose to be your age at this time, whether you're in the upper brackets like I am, or whether you're on the earlier side of the timeline. Maybe you're bringing children into the world to be heroes of the future. You chose it all. You are here now for a purpose, and that's why I've gravitated to the saying, live your highest timeline. In other words, stay on your best path through it all. So yes, there are some challenges. We are in a challenging couple of weeks, but fortunately, the rest of this week is fairly light. We'll be back to talk about that, the sun moving into Scorpio, again, that aspect with Pluto, and how the rest of the week shapes up. Thanks so much for listening. Glad to be back. See you back tomorrow. Bye-bye.